Welcome to CRM Audio, the Dynamics 365 podcast with Business Solutions MVPs George Dubinsky, Joel Lindstrom, and Shawn the CRM Hobbit Tabor. This episode of CRM Audio is sponsored by Alexa CRM. WordPress powers more than 25% of all the websites on the internet and is the number one choice for blogs, websites, and portals because it's open source, simple to use, reliable, and extendable. Dynamics CRM has become a de facto standard in sales, marketing, customer service, and industry solutions. Now they can work together thanks to the Dynamics CRM WordPress plugin built with love by the Alexa CRM team. Capture forms, engage your users and customers, all without writing any code. Control your site in WordPress, keeping your data in CRM. To build the plugin, Alexa CRM has created an open-source Dynamics CRM PHP toolkit, unlocking the world of Dynamics for PHP developers. Download your 30-day trial from alexacrm.com/plugin and instantly create a portal by connecting your CRM and WordPress site. We thank Alexa CRM for their sponsorship of CRM Audio. I'm here with Gus Gonzalez, MVP extraordinaire from Elevate Solutions. And Gus, I was just checking the stats, and your episode of CRM Audio is number one for the last 10 episodes. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. I think what that proves is not that I was involved in the episode. I think that proves that people want to learn from you guys, right? About you and George, because you're never talking about yourselves. So now that you get to do it, it's number one.
And we've had people coming up during sessions saying that, and especially mentioning that episode. So that was a very special episode. So I just got in today being Wednesday, and so I have not seen the keynotes. What have our listeners who were not here or were here but didn't go to the keynotes, what was the big reveals that we saw?
Yeah, well, yesterday, I think over the general keynote, the biggest thing for me was that even though the keynote was about all of the different Dynamics products, really CRM, or what is now known as the different applications, Dynamics 365 for sales and field service and project service automation, took like center stage. I think probably about 80% to 90% of the content was about what we call today CRM. Only a little bit of ERP, even though the vast majority of attendees here are from the ERP side, because ERP has multiple products, GP, NAV, AX, etc. So I thought that, Scott Guthrie did a great job introducing, sort of the next level of what a CRM system should be like. We're moving into systems of intelligence now, as they call it, in which you have a system that is actively monitoring, ways or looking for ways to make you more productive and sell more. A deep integration between Dynamics and Exchange. So he's pulling out all of the statistics about communication you have with your customers. He's telling you how your relationship is trending, up or down. Are they happy or not? Did you send them a quote? They opened the attachment, but they never replied to you, and they opened the attachment 2 weeks ago. So, they got to show a lot of really cool stuff, and I think people really saw the, what's going to be possible a few years from now.
So a question I had, and I've watched some of the airlift videos about the relationship intelligence and the auto capture. Once we have auto capture, are people still going to use the track and CRM button, or is this going to do everything for them?
So auto capture is one of those things that people are having trouble understanding, and I don't know if I'm an expert on it, but I've seen enough that the idea of auto capture is that for you to see Exchange information while you're in CRM, but it's your Exchange information. It's not the whole company's Exchange information. It shows you yours. So when you're looking at the social pane today on the form, it's going to show you the emails and activities you tracked, but it's also going to show you those emails and activities that might be related to that record that you haven't tracked. So you'll be able to just, with a click of a button from within Dynamics CRM or Dynamics 365, you will be able to track it in there. So when you track it, obviously makes it now public. It makes it be hosted in Dynamics CRM. So that's really the way it works, the social insight. So it's not automatically tracking everything in CRM. It's not creating copies on it, but it's showing you that these records are available for you to then create a copy if you want to.
It's taking the pain and the user burden out of it.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean it's brilliant if you think about the ability to track records while you're inside of CRM already. You don't have to be in Outlook or your phone. You just log into CRM, you see these emails that are related to it, and you're like, I think this is important for everybody else to see. Click on a single button, track it all. It's pretty cool.
Well, and then on our last episode, which I actually just published yesterday, I made the point about with Parature going away, what's the chat story? And apparently, Jujar was listening to that episode this morning and he said, you know what?
We have to.
Let's do chat.
Exactly, yeah. So one of the things they showed today was a partnership with another company in which they're borrowing a lot of their technologies, chat being one of them. I think chat was a really cool integration that they showed. It's mainly for USD. The way they showed it is for customer service representatives using Unified Service Desk and the ability for them to chat. But in addition to chat, they will be able to co-navigate or see the user's screen if they want to and sort of point them on the right direction. So if somebody's having issues, for example, registering for a product or finding the right driver for something or whatever, we can navigate with them and help them out. And then in addition to that, you can even do video calls. So there's a way in which you can escalate the chat to do a video call so they can show you a picture like, look, this is where it's broken, and you can help them out. But it's all in the context of customer service right now. I really liked it, and I'm guessing just like Dynamics CRM or Dynamics 365, you don't have to use everything, right? Even if you just use the chat functionality, it will be a great improvement, something we don't have today without using Parature.
And I think, from my perspective, chat in USD makes a lot more sense than chat in CRM, because if you think about it, in CRM, I'm on the Gus Gonzalez record. A chat comes in from Gustaf Westerland. I don't want to leave the Gus record to go over there, because in CRM you're usually in the context of one record, be it an account opportunity, where USD you have these independent sessions, and so I could be chatting with Gus, but then my chat from George or Gustaf pops up in another tab, and I can very easily, so you almost need to have an agent desktop like that takes you out of the one-on-one record context.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that I really like about having it in USD is that you can have other applications sort of inside USD and then send information from that application into the chat window. So, for example, one of the things they show was looking at the knowledge base and be able to find an article and send the link of the article to the chat. And I'm guessing you can do that with other applications too. So, as long as they're surfacing in USD, you could transfer information from one of the apps that is pinned basically into USD into the chat app, which will be also embedded into it.
So it was interesting. Last week they had the partner blitz for CRM, and the most common thing I saw I heard on there was, "Isn't that Gus's voice? That's Gus." And so how did that come about that you participate in that?
Yeah, so for the last, I think, 3 years, they've been asking me for help. Not just me, there's other MVPs that are also involved, helping out, answering questions and working as subject matter experts. I mean, one of the great benefits of being an MVP is getting access to the functionality ahead of time. So by the time Blitz happens, which is the event that is partner-facing, we've been working with the functionality for a while, and we're able to help Microsoft answer questions. So every year I've sort of been helping and pitching in a little bit more and a little bit more. Last year, for the last release, I did a lot of editing with the presentations, but my voice wasn't on it so much. And then we realized this year that maybe I can cover a lot more ground, something that it would take somebody without really a time crunch to cover in 30 minutes, I can knock out in 5 or 6 minutes because I go quick and I cover the details. So there was a lot more of my voice, and I think people, even though they were curious about, hey, why is Gus doing this thing, I think they liked it, so we're probably going to see that more and more going forward.
I thought it was a feature like Cortana. Maybe they had digitized you, or maybe I made up a name for it, Voice of the Gustomer.
Exactly, that's a good name.
It's a new feature. It could be in the learning paths where you have something, so maybe somebody goes the wrong way on the learning path and Gus's voice pops and says, "You idiot, what are you doing?"
Exactly, yeah. Voice of the Gustomer error detection systems.
Exactly. Well, any other big news from the first couple days of CRMUG?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that I have never seen, every time we come to CRMUG, there's some release of some kind. They're showing some new functionality or an acquisition or something. And I think you always see people that are excited to try it, excited to I guess, leverage it within their company or see how they can get the most value out of it. But with Dynamics 365, for the first time I saw the vast majority of people saying, I cannot wait to be in it. Like, I want it now, take my money, I want it, right? I've never seen that before. People are always hesitant to trying new things from Microsoft, but this is such a whole nother level that companies know that they either go into it or they're in the dust. I mean, their competitors will use something like that, this systems of intelligence instead of the systems of record that they're using today, and either you're in it or you're out. And the best thing about it is that we know, because of the deep integration, that none of the other competitors, none of the other third-party CRM systems will be able to achieve the level of integration Microsoft is getting for Dynamics 365. So, I mean, this is the time to do it. And another thing is that customers realize that this thing is being released in 2 weeks, because when they announced that it was November 1st, they're like, of what year? November 1st of 2017? Or no, it's coming in 2 weeks. So everybody's sort of scrambling to get it, which is pretty awesome. I've never seen anything like that.
What do you know, or what have you seen about the on-premise to online migration tool? Have you touched that yet or seen it?
I've seen it. I haven't been able to touch it yet. I'm really excited about it because it's one of those things that, as far as I can remember, when I started working with CRM Online, there's always been a power of choice. There's always been a way for customers to move from the cloud to on-prem, but it's never been easy to do it the opposite way, which is really what you're selling. It's really, you're trying to push people from on-premise to the cloud because it's way better.
Here's the question I have is, how complete is it going to be? And the test is going to be the personal views. Is it going to move the personal views, personal charts, personal dashboards?
Well, not only personal views, personal charts, and personal dashboards, but what about records that are shared? Is that going to move?
True. Yeah.
What about workflows that depend on widths? For example, on records that are dead set, instead of using dynamic values like send from owner, you're picking an actual user. How is that going to transfer, right? When it goes from on-prem user to an Azure Active Directory user, are the workflows going to break? I mean, there's just a lot of it in there. One thing that I like about it is that, if you're going from online to on-prem, you always have the risk that some of the functionality won't be on-premise and you'll lose it. But going from on-prem to online, there's virtually almost no risk other than SQL-based reports that, you won't have that functionality or those capabilities online. So I really like that part of it, but we have to wait and see how good is it.
Right. And I think the biggest takeaway I have is just don't use unsupported customizations. It's the people who have unsupported SQL triggers and things like that are painting themselves into a corner that they're not going to be able to upgrade with.
Yeah, no, and people, changing the registry records on the server and changing actual files. And I mean, they do all kinds of stuff. Because, people know that unsupported doesn't mean that it doesn't work. So they'll do it anyway, even though they know Microsoft won't help them if it breaks. But now they're going online.
You look like a man who's done some unsupported customizations in his day.
Never. I have never done that.
You never hacked it to put a logo in there or anything?
Never, no.
Right. Okay, we're here live at CRMUG Summit at the Medic booth. That's where the fancy MVPs hang out, as I've been told. And I'm here with Donna Edwards, MVP from TriBridge. And Donna, what is your favorite Dynamics 365 feature you've seen so far at the conference?
Okay, so tough question, right? Because there's a ton of new features, and they're all really awesome because they've done this huge product transformation, going from CRM to Dynamics 365. But since you're going to pin me down, Shawn...
Only one.
I have to say Relationship Insights.
How cool is that?
Okay, so Relationship Insights, even though it has like 4 features within, it's a package, right? And it really puts service and sales in the driver's seat, because now service and sales has information that in the past only marketing had. So it drives actionable insights, right? So Relationship Insights gives the service and sales teams the ability to see when someone opens an email, when they're looking at their attachments, if they've clicked through on records, if they're missing an opportunity. Maybe they haven't emailed the client for a while. All of that information is pulled from Office 365, Exchange, CRM, and it's surfaced to the sales and the service people, and they get to view that information now, not just marketing, right? 'Cause usually you just get that in the marketing applications, like when you use Click Dimensions, you can see how many people have clicked through the emails, that sort of thing.
Right.
Now sales and service sees it, and they get to act on it immediately. So Relationship Insights has it for me.
Outstanding. Thanks. We're live here at the CRMUG Summit, and I'm with Brad Koontz from Hitachi Solutions. Brad, what is your favorite new feature of Dynamics 365?
I would say it's the combination between Power Apps and Flow sitting on top of the common data model.
All right, what about Flow excites you?
Just the ability to go cross-platform,
Right.
to be able to drive these things.
Isn't that integrated?
It absolutely opens up so many possibilities.
Gotcha. I want to design a Power App now. I apparently could have done that a long time ago,
Right.
but now I'm excited about it more.
That's right.
All right,
That's
thanks.
right. Brand new day.
So we're here in the expo hall. How's it going? You seeing a lot of potential customers and people with WordPress sites, George?
I see a lot of people with WordPress sites, definitely. Well, 2/3 of the world running them. But as far as customers, we'll see if we can convert them. But I've got a lot of people coming. We're going or promise me that they're going to come tomorrow. But
You'll have a packed house. I don't know.
yeah, tomorrow, and we'll do a vendor presentation. But that's enough about that. Let's talk about the occasion. It's the first time that three of us actually see each other face to face.
That's right. We have photographic proof. And now that Shawn's an MVP, we don't have to kick him off the podcast, George.
No.
Yeah, no, we don't have to hide stuff from him.
I'd like to think that I don't feel like lesser a contributor, but clearly George is going to make sure that is maintained.
So you were telling me that you were talking to somebody and found a good analogy for where we're going at the product.
Well, it seems to me that for me, CRM started one time about 10 years ago, right? About 11 years ago. And it was like a good old Ford 9053. So you open the bonnet and you see the engine, the carburetor, and some parts are rusted and some parts not moving. So you roll up your sleeve, you say, I'm a grease mountain now. So you pull out the wrench and you start fixing it and fix here, fix there, change the tire, and it's all going in the right direction, right? And this year, they open the bonnet and it's BMW, and the engine is all sealed, and I'm saying, where's the carburetor? And I say, we replaced it with fuel injection. And I say, how do I get to the engine? And they're saying, you don't. So what do I do now? Well, you can learn how to operate a computer that fixes the car. That's the only option now. So I feel we need to requalify ourselves.
Right, and that's where it's kind of unsettling if you're the old-time seer mechanic that's used to opening up the hood and tweaking it and fixing it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a different world.
Interestingly enough, how would you feel as ISV? ISVs that are with both feet in CRM, like people who were doing editable grids, for example.
Right.
I just wonder, we need to get someone from ISV who is severely impacted by the new changes, upcoming changes, and ask them what their plans for the future, how they work around that. I'm just curious. It's like, do you feel down, or do you feel like, okay, we earned our living on that one, let's move on, let's requalify ourselves and move on.
I think the shift is going to be more towards creating innovative Power Apps, maybe less code.
Oh, please.
You don't think?
Seriously.
Now, what I think about Power Apps, remember we have to roll back, nearly 15 years ago, or even more, Microsoft Access.
Right.
It came out, and it was great, right? So there's a tool, you can build pages, and then, unfortunately, business people discovered that you can do things with it. And roll forward 3 years, and we find ourselves in a situation where we as IT people or developers or whatever, we have to take the shower and start unraveling all the piles of goo that business people created. Right. So I feel that Power Apps are in the danger zone where you find yourself in an enterprise environment where 3 years down the track you've got a pile of over a pile of absolute rubbish Power apps forgotten, people lost who's done that and so forth. So
but from an ISV,
perspective, you think the same?
I'm not talking
from a business user. I'm saying from an
ISVs like with Microsoft Access,
yes.
like some ISVs made a really good living out of creating really powerful applications.
Right.
I'm just saying, from ISV perspective, it's certainly something to look into. I would think that out of the whole suite of all the bits and pieces, if you really want to get down and rip apart that engine I was talking about, then perhaps you should look deeper into Azure and look into mobile apps on Azure and look into Logic apps. So as a deep down developer, Power Apps and say Microsoft Flow, they're great tools,
right.
But they gear it towards the end user, kind of a power user, right? If you're a developer, perhaps you want to kind of look deeper into Azure, what Azure's got to offer. So that's kind of
I think the ISVs who probably are most nervous, I would think, not having talked to anyone, would be people like AbleBridge, people who do editable grids, but also the whole relationship sciences groups, people like IntroHive or DataHug, because Microsoft is basically eating their lunch on that core functionality. And I think you've got to be more than 20-30% better. You've got to be 50 to 100% better, or have deeper hooks into other pieces. If I'm an IntroHive, the advantage you can have is if you can connect to other data sources as well to get a more complete picture or enhance that. But even if AbleBridge or we have our own editable grid, but in most cases, I'm going to look at can the out of the box do the job because it's going to work on mobile. There's no ISV grid that works on mobile that I know of, and so that by itself makes this the default choice. So I think it does make it harder, but I think people who George like you focusing on WordPress, and you got to have a niche, you got to have an industry, something like that you can go deep into. And I think that's what. Gustaf Westerland is with us too. Gustaf, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's very interesting what they're doing with the Dynamics 365. I think they're talking a lot about the Enterprise Edition currently, but they are releasing something called the Business Edition as well. The sales and marketing app are currently not being presented. They're saying they are going to be presented in April, but the story is very shady. It's shrouded in mist.
Yes.
It's very in Sweden where I live. We have lots and lots of small businesses. So it's very interesting for us to see where that's going. But all the talk is about Enterprise Edition currently.
I think as far as Microsoft is concerned, the entire Sweden as a country is a small business.
It is, yeah. We're not many people. It's a small business.
And it's kind of funny for how, if you look back 10 years, like George was saying, how different the focus was. Because 10 years ago, the tool was built for small, medium business. It was not built for enterprise.
We have Workgroup Edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the built-in WinFax, right?
Yeah.
It was not built for enterprise. I remember it. And
Did you actually have a single customer? Because I can raise my hand and say I did have one customer who was really upset when they've taken away the faxing capability. No, not for inbound, the ability to read inbound fax and identify the company sender, identify the sender.
Right. Yeah, I think we had one or two. I can't remember. It's interesting. Before our session this afternoon, I did a little poll of who's on what version, and at least half the room was on 2013 or earlier. So that just shows let a user group like this.
Yeah.
We're all focused on what's new, but there's still a lot of stuff. The number one thing people coming up to us at the medics table was Outlook client.
Client, but I think the new Outlook app, that's beautiful. It looks really great. I think that's going to be they did some really great work with that.
Yeah, I like it too, and I'm going to be showing this at a session tomorrow morning. I think it's got probably one more generation or one more release to go before it gets to the critical mass. Again, it's gotten to now where you can track outgoing emails and things like that. when and if we get to things like appointments, that's the big missing piece in my opinion.
Right.
The one thing I find quite interesting from developers' point of view, you mentioned, Shawn, common data model. What I'm interested to know, if common data model that comes for the enterprise right now, and for which presumably we will have easy bridge between CRM and CDM, between ERP and CDM, is this model going to be available on the business edition? And if it's the same model, then I'd say for developers, well, start learning it, because that's going to be this holy grail, a single data source, a master data that is available, and perfect consumption model for things like portals, for example.
Yeah, and also Power BI as well.
Absolutely.
Putting that versus the application databases is huge. So yeah, that's a big question for me too. But also this other version, ideally it's based on CRM as well, so that an ISV can write an add-on that works with both.
Now, do we know when you're extending the sales functionality, for example, and you create a new entity, do we have to decide whether that's a common data model entity or a sales entity, or is it just automatically one?
I've got the answer for you.
Okay.
Definite answer.
You heard it here first, folks.
I think it's also interesting in the common data model. I mean, some companies, for instance, in the telco industry, they have a defined data model. It's called the SID, which is used in that industry. So if you were working with companies in the telco industry, they would come and say, okay, but so does the common data? Can you use the SID model in this industry?
Did not I mention the logic apps? That's where the data mapping will come into play. You will go to Azure and you start mapping things like EDI format, for example, into CDM. How does that map? So that's where you have to go to the back end and dig deeper.
Now, I don't know if you saw, Neil Benson had a post yesterday or today about how they are playing with the logic apps, and he's finding that some of the reality of connecting to CRM is not as straightforward as it should seem yet.
It's not as robust as we would want it to be. It's a bit raw. It's like continuing to use my car analogy. That would be at the moment it's like Atom, like go-kart on steroids. So it's you need to know how to drive manual, and you can see the wheels spinning and your heart races. But yeah, you have to go a bit deeper, and you have to know your car.
So Logic Apps is like a Gus Gonzalez go-kart that you can't drive when it's raining.
Correct.
So our next CRM or third CRM All-Star is always willing to share his business solutions MVP expertise. He's been an avid and sought-out speaker for the CRM Summit, and his sessions are always called upon and shown out for all users to enjoy. Not only do I not know how my fellow MVP and friend is able to do this, but also emotionally support his family and struggling challenges that he has to overcome is just amazing. I'm broken up even talking about it. It's a great honor to know him as a friend and what he's done for his family and his wife. This All-Star openly gives and consistently helps others. Says it's on. This All-Star and others keeps giving to others and is one of the key authors of the Dynamic CRM Tip of the Day, as well as an audio blog. As his profile states, he is a CRM guru extraordinaire, husband, excellent father, author, plays a harp, and I heard he's also a formidable cow tipper. So please welcome your third CRM All-Star, Joel Lindstrom.
So we're wrapping up CRMUG here. It's actually going to be going on tomorrow too, but I will be on my way home tomorrow, and we're wrapping up. So George, any final words you got? I understand you got some late breaking news.
No, it's not the breaking news. There are a couple of things. The first, I'm absolutely stoked at the amount of people who approached us and said they listened to podcasts. I thought we have like 3 listeners, and we like have 7.
Yes, at least 10. At least 10. And they're very devoted 10, so thank you.
I have given out almost the entire bag of flair I had of CRM Tip of the Day and CRM Audio buttons. So those are going to spread like hotcakes.
And you know what? If you tweet us and say, hey, I listened too, we'll send you a pin.
We might. You're going to pay for that shipping, Shawn?
Well, it depends on how many people actually do it. Either that or we'll send you a link to our website where you could buy one.
Oh, now that's a bad idea.
Okay. Monetize.
Okay, quiz of the day, gentlemen. Okay. What do you think App Designer is?
I think App Designer is a way to design apps.
Yay! Any better ideas?
Is it a Power App thing?
App Designer. I got nothing.
Yeah. Basically, now we were just quizzed by doing some pseudo research with some Microsoft folks that this thing you saw that does sitemap thing, and you put together components which define your app. So they came up with the name App Designer, but because there is strong association with the Power Apps, and Power Apps are everywhere, no matter who you ask what the App Designer is, people say Power Apps, of course, but it's not. So we just, we're doing a bit of brainstorming, and I hope it's going to stick, because we came up with the name 365 App Designer.
So if I'm understanding you right, it's not designing a Power App, it's designing a app experience for a subset of functionality around a specific type of application. So like the I don't know, what's a good example? So sales.
I've got sales, and for example, my customer wants to use sales module and project services module, and nothing else. Right? They're not interested in field services. They're not interested in customer service because they no longer have any customers. So they want to use those 2 modules, and out of those 2 modules, perhaps even suppress some other bits and pieces. So I may want to put those together and then clean up sitemap. And I don't know what else is coming, but apparently there's plans for more in this area. That's why they wanted to leave it open-ended, like App Designer. But I think you design in Dynamics 365 experience, so it should be called.
This is the dream of XRM, which is, it's not a CRM platform. It's an app. That's a great term for it. So it's whatever you want. It's FRM, franchise relationship management. It's disaster recovery or disaster relief, Red Cross kind of thing. You can have that as a subset of functionality. People use that. You're basically launching an app. You don't know the word CRM. You just are. This is where I do this feature. So would I have as a user potentially, instead of going into CRM and doing accounts and opportunities, I now will instead have multiple apps I choose from. And I'm going to do sales. I'm going to go in there, it's opportunities and accounts. Now I'm going to do, case management. I have my case app.
I just thought of something.
What's that?
Unrelated.
Tangent coming.
Yeah. Whoever tattoos anyone on their body, CRM forever, I'm going to cover the cost of the tattoo, plus I'm going to give equal amount of cash directly to that person.
But they have to have the colored flags for Dynamics.
The hat, the triangle.
Yeah.
So does this mean that Chris Cognetta needs to have his full back CRM tattoo removed now?
The sad thing is it's the target from 1.2. So, yeah. He's a little behind on the times, but,
So are we going to incorporate the new logo into our logo for Tip of the Day and for CRM Audio?
I'll try, but the other thing that absolutely impressed me that one of the guys who's actually a very good designer said, without knowledge, that we came up like in our backyard, chiseled this logo ourselves. Right. He complimented the logo and said this is one of the best logos he ever seen. And
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think so, and I already subtly changed the intro to be the CRM Audio, the Dynamics 365 podcast, because people are still going to search for CRM. I mean,
right.
I still can't stop myself from saying Field 1 instead of Field Service. I've only been working with that for a year, so I'm not gonna. It's gonna be hard to not say CRM.
Let's go down the Prince route.
Disassemble?
No. The podcast formerly
We're all gonna
known
die.
as,
Yeah, podcast formerly known as CRM Audio.
yeah.
That would be good. Yeah.
Well,
I'm sure this domain name is available.
I'm
Podcast
sure.
formerly known as CRM.audio. I'm sure it is available, so I'll make sure. I'll take care of it tonight.
So you guys are going to get some good audio when you go to the MVP Summit, right?
Yes. We're going to try to talk to some Microsofties and some of the fellow MVPs. Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I'm actually going to be there. This is the first time that we won't have a recording that says, "Well, we recorded some audio at the MVP Summit. Shawn, you weren't there."
But Joel now is he's...
Yeah, but he could have been there. He's just lazy.
No. I mean, he now, like, CRMUG, what?
Oh, All-Star.
Emerald hand or something like
Yeah.
this? Or what did he get?
Yeah. He's the smash mouth of the group. Hey, now. You're a CRMUG All-Star. Yeah. We can't win. We can't win. Fortunately, we're just that much more handsome than he is.
So, George, are you on your way back home now, or do you have more things to do before you go home?
I'm slowly making my way home and stopping in Atlanta on my way. But, yeah, I'm looking forward because, I miss my family. But it's been long 2 weeks. Certainly worth it. Definitely enjoyed... coffee in Greenville. So far, it takes #1 coffee in America.
Nice. And
hipster stuff like cold drip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And for me, it's been like Disneyland. I got to be a CRM medic. I got to present with you again, which was great. And
got to wear the lab coat.
Yep, and I'm bringing it home. And people looked at me like I knew what I was talking about, which is fantastic.
This has been CRM Audio, the Microsoft Dynamics CRM podcast. You can hear previous episodes on our website, crm.audio. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, follow us on Twitter at CRM Audio, or leave us a comment on our Facebook page, facebook.com/CRM podcast. If you have any topic suggestions or questions that you would like for us to answer on a future episode, please drop us an email at voice@crm.audio. Special thanks to Dale Simmons for our theme music. Go check out his website, dalesimmons.com. Please join us next time on CRM Audio.